friends, it's Brittany Valadez here for BravelyDaily.com. I'm so excited for you guys to be joining me because I have a special guest with me today. Yes, I have the wonderful, the beautiful, the amazing couple, Jalen and Cacie. If you guys haven't heard about them, you're going to be obsessed with them by the end of this video, and if not by the end of the series, because they are fantastic. You guys, just want to let you know I'm having a little technical difficulties with the camera. So if anything is like you see a flashing of light, it's not you. You're not getting sick or going crazy. It's the camera, so we'll just deal with that. So Jalen and Cacie actually became popular because it all began with one particular video, and I will let them tell you all about that. And then the Jalen and Cacie stories blew up, and that is what their ministry is about now, catering to godly marriages. All right, before we get into that, I have a couple of requests of you guys. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to this channel. Now, you guys, follow me on social media. I will list my social media accounts in the description box below. All right, let's get into this interview. Jalen, Cacie, my new friends. It's so exciting for me to be chatting with you guys. I love your marriage and relationship advice because it comes from a biblical perspective. And that's why we're gonna be talking about one of the most important things ever, and that's relationships. So I was like, who better to get on this channel than Jalen and Cacie, of course, to talk about relationships. Now, for anyone who may not be familiar with you, just tell us a little bit about yourself.
We are Jalen and Cacie, and we're very happy to be here. A little bit about us. We are believers in Jesus Christ. We grew up in the same church together, so we've known each other most of our lives. Although we didn't become friends probably until about 10, 12-ish years ago. Yeah. Maybe we really started hanging out.
Yeah, we started working in the same ministry department. Mm-hmm. And his brother actually is, he's a director of film and
director of photography, usual title. He's got a bachelor in film and television.
Yeah, so but both of them, they're in the entertainment business always, and they had a background in television, just like that. So when my church started their media program, I became the leader of that department, and Jalen became my right-hand man because he knew more about it than I did. Yeah. But so that's how we started kind of working together and getting to know one another, because he's very quiet. I'm kind of quiet-ish, but we had this chemistry between us as far as being able to work together well creatively. Yep. So that's how we started kind of talking. And then one moment I was like, wait, how old are you? Like, I don't know about this.
I was probably, when the ministry first started, I was probably around 15, 16 years old when the ministry first started. Like I said, we grew up, but age difference, we weren't hanging out with the same circles, so to speak. We had different friends and things like that. I was always friends with your brother, though, even though he was a lot older than me. But anyway, so yeah, I was about 15, 16 when that media ministry started, and we started working together. So I worked closely with Cacie, so did my brother. We kind of supported you in the ministry, giving you our technical skill, and you just kind of had the creative eye for everything. And so that's when we began to work together, and we recognized we work really well together. We worked well together in ministry, and then out of that came our music group that we did for a very short time. It was me, Cacie, and my brother, and we actually, me and my brother rapped, she sang, and we did a group together, and we actually did a little bit of travel in our area and released some music and did some concerts and things like that.
I think people don't really understand the nature of our friendship because our two families are very close. And if you ever sat down and talked with him for any amount of time, you really forget how old he was. He was very mature for his age. His brother is very mature for their age. And I never hung out with people that was really my age as well growing up. My sister is 9 years older than I am, so I'm used to hanging out with people older than me, and I don't care, as long as you're mature, I will deal with you. Like, I will talk with you. And so we really just create this bond with his family. I love his family. His family is amazing. I couldn't have asked for better in-laws. And it was kind of funny that it was my father, who is now with the Lord. He passed away December. And but my father came to me, and he was the one that said, I like Jalen, and you can marry him if you want to. And my dad is known for being very straightforward to the point. I was like, what? I was shocked. Like, what? So if my dad said it has to be right, because my dad is very picky, very particular about everything. And so,
and at that point, when that happened, and I actually kind of know time frame on this, I had to be about 2021. And I remember the first time I looked at Cacie and thought, you know, because when we were friends, like, and thank God for this, because I was technically still a teenager at the time. We were friends. I never looked at Cacie any kind of way. She was just, you know, she was Cacie. She was the leader of the ministry. We worked together, things like that. And there was nothing there. It wasn't love at first sight. And again, thank God, because I was still a kid. But anyway, around the time I was 21, I remember looking at her one day, and it would be too long a story, but it was something that she did in the form of ministry unto someone else. And I saw her and it impressed me. And I was like, I could see this. I could see marrying her. I could see being with her. I could see ministering the gospel with her. And then I think sometime after that, of course, I never talked to her dad. Your dad said that to you. And then a series of great events, we could tell the whole story, led to us eventually, you know, expressing our feelings to each other. And not long after that, we got married. And, so it's a funny story with a lot of ups and downs, but that's more or less how it went down.
Long story short, here we are. And Jalen and Cacie, the YouTube ministry, was birthed out of just our desire to share our story. And we never knew that it would turn into this way. And so we did it very casually. It was like, oh, maybe we become vloggers and stuff like that. So we did that for a little while, but as you can see, that fell off. And we really just love ministering, and our family's in ministry. So it's really in our heart just to share Jesus in our everyday life.
So ministry of marriage, like you said, began because honestly, we had a lot of struggles when we first got married. And most people know us or find us because our most popular videos are on the fact of our age gap marriage. There's 11-year difference between us. But the thing that we push the most is the newlywed struggles that we dealt with. And those are the things that we dug in and decided individually and then together that we were going to fight for having not just a marriage, but a good marriage, a godly marriage. And out of that came so many lessons that we just began to share as we were learning them. And it sparked this YouTube ministry that we've been doing for over 3 years now, I think.
And we always say we minister from a perspective of having gone through and going through. So you're getting our experiences in real time. So we don't act like we know it all, because we're still a work in progress and we're still learning. Our age gap difference is not anything special to us, because we discovered that struggles can happen any type of marriage, whether you're the same age, older, younger, whatever. It has everything to do with the individuals involved and their willingness to put in the work and the time. And so we discovered that, you know, it works when you make Jesus the center, and marriage works 100% of the time when you do it God's way.
So it's a quote specifically comes from Pastor Jimmy Evans. And you were the one that first found his ministry in the Ministry of Marriage Today on YouTube. And you will tell a story about how that happened.
Well, you know, we have our struggles. And, you know, when you first get married, everybody tells you about the newlywed stage and stuff like that and how fun it was going to be. But I felt like as soon as we said I do, the devil just said, we're going to try to get rid of this thing real quick. And so we came under a lot of challenges really early on. And I can remember one day, just while he was at work, just praying to the Lord, it's like, Lord, I desire a good marriage. And I know that a good marriage is your promise to me. And you wouldn't have led me to him, because I believed in my heart that we were meant to be together. So I didn't doubt that part. But I was like, I don't want a lackluster marriage. I don't want just an arrangement. I don't want to be in something just tolerating it. You know, I wanted to have fulfillment in our relationship. And when I cried out to God about that, he led me to Pastor Jimmy Evans and his ministry, Marriage Today. And that was one of the first statements that he said, and it just struck a chord in me. And I can remember sending him links to the YouTube videos and like, oh, you need to watch this, and we would watch it together. And it really gave us a voice to our issues. And we was able to, from that point on, talk about the things that I was feeling, because I didn't know how to express what I was feeling, because I didn't want to make him feel like, oh, you're this terrible person, you know, but I didn't know how to say what I was feeling. And Pastor Jimmy Evans gave me the tools to do that. And as a result of that, it sparked the desire in us to help other people like us that were struggling, giving them the tools and the voice behind their issues. Because every time we watch a video, it's like, I would pause it. See, that's it. That's what I was trying to get you to understand, you know, and it really helped our marriage. And I'm so blessed by that.
And so what we realized was we weren't the only ones going through those issues, because like the quote says, marriage works 100% of the time if you do it God's way. And so what I came to realize for us and everyone else in the world, the reason why there's a 50% divorce rate, not just in the world, but also in the church, is because not everybody's doing it God's way. Being saved isn't automatically God's way. You can be saved, you could be unsaved, but marriage belongs to God. He invented it. And so one thing I like to say to people when I'm talking to them and counseling them is, a lot of people try to get married and try to do it without doing it with God's word as the center of your direction, but you're playing with God's stuff. He invented this and only he knows how it works. So if you try to do it without him, you will always fail 100% of the time. So it works the other way too. You do it without him, 100% of the time it's going to fail. So God's way, learning God's way of marriage is a lifelong journey. And so when people come and watch our channel, you know, one thing we often say is saving marriages, one story at a time. That's how we close out our videos. What we're doing is we're preaching the gospel that is able to save your soul. And it's the gospel that's able to save your marriage. And so you want to know what God's way is. I can't summarize that in one sentence. I can give you guys a definition of marriage, but how to do it and how to practice it each and every day, that's a lifelong journey. And that's what our channel is for.
Jalen, I know you mentioned in your videos that, I'm not sure if it was before you and Cacie started dating or after, that there was a time where you felt that God separated you two for a bit and he was making you a kingdom husband and making her a kingdom wife, essentially preparing you guys to be obviously in a relationship and married one day. Now, during that time of separation, was there any questions that you had going on, you know, in your mind, whether or not you should even marry Cacie, or if you liked her or maybe liked someone else, if she was even the one for you? Was there any specific sin that you were struggling with that was maybe keeping you away from her? Like what was going on during that time of separation?
Yeah, I'll tell you exactly. So actually that period of time where we actually kind of weren't talking to each other as friends for a while, that was before we actually got together and everything. And we were actually both separately going through two different phases in life. And so we just weren't dealing with each other as much anymore, whether working together as much. And, but yes, what happened, and this is what's going to have to happen for any guy. And it's really not an age thing, but the earlier he does it, the better. There's a certain point where a man has to decide to become a man. I was dealing with a lot of different issues in life and actually dealt with some depression and some things like that. And I came to a point where I decided, Lord, you're going to have to teach me how to be who it is I need to be. That's kind of a rough way of putting it. But I went before the Lord, and during this phase of life, I just spent hours in his presence daily. I was praying in the spirit, I was studying the word, and I built a relationship with God and learned how to hear from him. And that is the foundation of what it means to be a man, the ability to hear from God. That's what Adam had with the Father in the garden, an ability to have a relationship with him, to hear him and talk back. And I developed that. And by the time I was, I would say 19 years old, I was grounded in my ability to hear the voice of God. And I had a direction in life. I knew where I was going, and I knew who it was I needed to be. And it's only when a man has reached that point that he is just about ready to start, quote unquote, looking for a wife. What really happens is the Lord comes to you and says, okay, for this next stage of your journey, this is what you need to be looking for. And it wasn't long after that Cacie kind of got highlighted to me and I began to think about it. But then because of the age gap thing, something that I think we both have to deal with, and these are questions you have to ask yourself. Can I do this? Can I handle it? Because a lot of the issues that we think come in an age gap marriage are more imaginary, but at the same time, perception is everything. And if you can't get out of your own head about it, you may need to stay away from it. So I had to ask myself challenging questions like, am I okay with this? I say I'm cool with it now, but in 10, 20 years, am I gonna have a problem? Am I gonna think that she's gonna get old and broke down? Am I gonna feel weird around other people? Am I going to feel weird? Am I going to have doubts that she can have children? I had to ask myself all these questions and challenge myself, and I just said, oh, it's gonna be okay, it's gonna be okay. And people need to do this when they're getting married or even thinking about approaching someone, even if it has nothing to do with age gap. A lot of times we have these endorphins and we're happy, and so we don't ask the important questions, but we're always good for that. And even individually, we ask ourselves these questions. And I had to answer each one of these questions for myself and say, you know what? I truly don't care. I am interested in her. I believe God is orchestrating this. I'm going to pursue this. And I had to settle that so that it wouldn't come up later on after I was married. And truthfully, sometimes it still can, but you got to remind yourself those conversations you had with the Lord before, and remind yourself that, no, I settled this. This is where I stand. I'm holding my ground. So that's what I dealt with probably in that season in those videos we were talking about.
Yeah. And it was similar for me as well, having to just, once I realized that, I really love Jalen, I really like him, and he proven to be a very rooted and grounded man in the Lord, and I saw him how he operated with his family. He's very honorable, sometimes to a fault. I'm like, oh, you're so honest. But I really love that about him, and he reminded so much of my father. So anyway, I had to really ask myself the same questions, like, can I handle this? Like, because between him and I, we're cool, but our marriage is going to be on Front Street. People are going to see us together. Are they going to think I'm older automatically? How are we going to explain this? Am I going to be okay with that? I didn't want to fall into that category of, oh, you're a cougar. I hate that term. But I know it may come up, and how am I going to react to that? Am I going to be embarrassed? Again, about children, because I didn't want to feel pressure to have children right away because I was older. I mean, where is my faith in all of this? Like, I really had to ask those hard questions, and I asked him those questions. Are you okay with this? And the answer was yes. But we still had to use the word, had to use faith about it every step of the way, even getting pregnant, even though we didn't have complications getting pregnant, praise God, but we had to build faith for that ahead of time. And so yeah, it's a journey that you got to always stay in communication with one another and with the Lord. And so far so good. We joke between us about age gap sometimes. People say to me, they're like, oh, you robbed the cradle. And I was like, no, well, he'd have jumped out of it. He jumped out the cradle. It's not my fault. He pursued me. And a lot of people don't really understand that he pursued me. I was not looking for a younger man. I was like, no, I'm not marrying anybody younger. I was like, if he's not at least my age or 5 years older was like my cap. Like, I didn't want to be with the old guy. Like, no, that was weird to me. So this is totally God. People ask me, like, do you recommend age gap? I recommend you go with God. Okay. Our relationship has nothing to do with our age. It really doesn't. It's two people with the same goals for the kingdom of God. God put it together for a reason, and it's being fully manifested each and every day. And for us, it's not an issue, but since it's public now, we have to talk about it because we get a lot of questions, like a lot of questions about age gap relationship, and people freak out. 3 years, some people it's like, I can't do 3 years, 3 months. It's too much. I'm like, oh my gosh.
I love that you guys decided to face the questions head on. So many times people can be in the hallmark aspect of the relationship and they don't want to face the hard questions. But you guys knew that in order to have a mature relationship, and if it was going to work, you had to face those hard questions head on from the beginning. That is true wisdom. So you guys have gotten to know Jalen and Cacie because of their wisdom when it comes to dating, relationships, and marriage. That wisdom we can all receive when we study and apply the Word of God to our lives as well. But there's another topic that they're really wise on, and it comes down to the topic of race. So Jalen actually did an amazing series on his YouTube channel with his father where he discussed race. If you guys haven't noticed, we are minorities ourselves. I'm Hispanic and they are African American. So we thought, well, we might have a thing or two to say about, the topic of race, but it's not because we are minorities that we feel that we need to talk about race. That's just one major aspect. The first major aspect of why we are even talking about it is because we want to share it from a biblical perspective. Race relations is huge right now, but what are true, authentic Christians saying about it? And if you're kind of somewhere in between and don't know what to believe or what to think about it, I think you should definitely watch the series. So I hope you guys, can stay on this channel. I'll let you guys know on social media, etc., when that video series is coming out. All right, so I'm sure that many of you are loving the wisdom dropped by Jalen and Cacie. But was there anything specific that stood out to you? Was there like a quotable quote that you just can't get out of your head and maybe you even like wrote it down because it was so good? Just tell me in the comment section below. I'm pretty sure they'll be interested to know what inspired you. But I just want to tell you a couple more things. So yes, remember, don't forget, this is not the only video in this series. There are many more to come. Lastly, if you like them, and I know you did, you're going to want to follow them on social media. I will put all of their social accounts in the description box below. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel, Jalen and Cacie, and go visit their website, jalenandcacie.com.
Our YouTube channel, and I'm sure Brittany's already linking all of that, but youtube.com/Jalen and Cacie. We'd love it if you would join our Bible study group that we have on Facebook. It's a private group, so it just asks to be in it, and then you get accepted into it. And we're actually launching pretty soon some new Bible studies that'll happen. Well, I'm not going to give too much detail until we actually lock it in, but it's going to be happening. So go ahead and join our Bible study group. And on our website, if you have questions for us, we have our Dear Jalen and Cacie tab where you can submit questions. You can be anonymous if you like.
And that's at jalenandcacie.com.
Yeah, jalenandcacie.com. Or you can always send them to Brittany and she'll just have us back on again. We'll just do this all over again. Or we also have, we're doing for the year of 2021, it's only $21. You can have a one-on-one session with us, a 30-minute session on Zoom, and you can ask us questions directly, talk about your situation, whether it's you with your person, your spouse, or person you're dating, or you single by yourself, wherever you are, single, divorced, married, struggling, halfway to struggling, whatever it is you're dealing with, and you need to get some help. You could talk one-on-one, and you can do that. And for the year of 2021, we're just doing it for $21 because we're passionate about this year, people getting their lives on track and whatever they're dealing with. So that's what we've got going on right now. So be sure to check all that out.
And we're everywhere on Instagram too.
Yeah, we're on Instagram, we're on Facebook. Just look, Jalen and Cacie's everything. We got it.
Just spell the name right is all it's important.
Also, if you guys want to follow me, my social media accounts will be in the description box below. You can also subscribe to my channel, and you can follow me on my website at bravelydaily.com. All right, I'm Brittany Valadez for bravelydaily.com. God bless, and I'll see you in the next one.